So this thing is my stepson's PC, and he is rocking the best 6700K and a Z170 chipset from Asus. That's for the motherboard. Yeah, that's old. So it's not Windows 11 compatible, but let's get him compatible, shall we? We're gonna be replacing his Z170 chipset with something that can run Windows 11, and Windows 10 does have about another year left, but I figured I could take these components out instead of just letting him run this for another year. Take these components out, put them in a cheaper case, and make a few dollars on that. I'm not talking about anything crazy, you know, 50 to 100 bucks for a case, a motherboard, CPU, RAM, power supply, and I don't know about an NVMe, but maybe a cheap NVMe. Put it all in there and sell it for $50 to $100. Nothing crazy. I'll probably be losing money, but I can take whatever I make off of that, some components that I'm not using here, and just put it back into the channel. So I digress a little bit with that. That's something separate, but the main focus on this video is basically to get him upgraded to Windows 11, which I can't with this, so we're going to be replacing it with something else. So stay right there. This is the one that you've seen. I built this. This was a wooden case that I built and I put in the garage. I had it at my previous place, and now I have it at this place. I put this in the garage, and you know, my mother said something, and now she was right, because this thing has lots of holes, right? Well, I don't live in a mouse-free area, and some mice did get in here. Now, they didn't build a nest, but I do see little, not droppings, but I see some little evidence that something was in here. So this is not the best case. I think I'm gonna put one of my mini PCs that I got and put that in the garage. So the components in here were given to me by Kerry Holzman. I do want to give him credit for the stuff that I'm putting or taking out of here and putting in another case. Not that I really have to, but I think it's just respect. And this case was not given to me, but the components that are in here were. So this is a 9th generation that has a 9400 CPU in it. So we're going from a 6700K to a 9400. Now it's not, you know, it's not top of the line, but it'll play everything that he needs to play at Fortnite and some other stuff like that. And so anyway, I got to take this apart, which I think I'm going to take this apart off camera because it's got lots of screws and stuff. You've seen me build this well, maybe you haven't, but I've built this, and it's kind of a pain in the butt case. So it was just kind of something unique, but let's get everything out of here. Then I'll take it out of here off camera, and we'll go from there and install that stuff into here. I just think these were kind of cool that I put on the side of this case. I was going to put them in my room, but I gave them to him and just kind of stuck them on with some tacky stuff so it doesn't ruin the case. I think they're kind of cool. But anyway, this is the, like I said, the Corsair, I think the Q110 or the 110Q. And I forgot that that's the back, but we got to take that off anyway. I think, maybe I don't. I probably don't have to take that off, but we're going to leave it off now. For some reason, I thought that was the front. I don't know why. It's because it's the direction it has to go on his desk. So he doesn't see this side. This side goes up against the wall. And this is the part that's actually kind of nice about the Q110 here. And it's padded, so it's got noise dampening material in it. So I would highly recommend checking out the review for this case. All right, so I don't believe we're going to be reusing this, but we'll see. I don't think so, because this is for the... Actually, I might be able to reuse this. It does have a little bit of dust in it, but that's okay. So let's just start ripping these apart. The graphics card, we are saving, that's going back in. As far as the cooler, I'm trying to remember if it's compatible. So we have an 1150X on this one. And I believe the other one is an 1150X also. So or 1151 as far as the pin layout. I'm drawing a blank right now. I can't remember, but we're gonna get our USB 3 and our main power for our motherboard. Unplugged if I can. There we go. That's unplugged. Our front header, unplug. Now I do have to get a screwdriver because I got to take out that Wi-Fi card. Now if you don't have one of these, unless you feel like you don't want to, I'm telling you, this Fantic screwdriver set, I did review another one, but this is by far my favorite. And you get a bunch of bits. I actually really like it. And you just tap on that, and then you get an electric screwdriver, and all your bits fly around. They're magnetic, but it's not a strong magnet, so you kind of just be careful with it. Put this in. It was on. I guess I left it on. I do want a longer bit though, and I haven't gotten around to getting one because these going in here, they kind of go at an angle a little bit. So we got to get these antennas off. Our Wi-Fi card. I think I'm going to put this one back in. I do have another Wi-Fi card in the other one. This does have a 750 watt power supply in it, which is way overkill for what he has. And when we pair this up with the new one, the CPU, the 9400, is only a 65 watt CPU. And this graphics card is a Zotac GeForce GTX 3050. So it's not a high-end, not even a mid-level graphics card. So we're only talking about 130, 140 watts-ish that this could pull max. And we're only talking about a little over 200 watts between those two items, you know, not including some of the other stuff, you know, maybe 4 watts for the NVMe or something like that. But nothing. He is never going to pull more than 500 watts. And I've got a couple other 500 watts, including the one that I'm going to take out from the other case. And I think I'm just going to put that in this. And that way, even though this is a great NZXT C750 power supply, he doesn't need that much overhead. And I can frankly probably use that in something else that I'll be building eventually. So we're going to, I think, keep that out.
Look at that card. Isn't it just cute? Yeah, very cute.
All right, we got everything out. It looks like I have all the screws. Oh, I forgot one of the fan connectors here for the rear fan. And I think, yep, we can come out with the board now. Oh, forgot the CPU power, the EPS power connector. There we go. All right, so now I need to take out the guts and everything to this, but like I said, I'm going to do this off camera because this is going to be kind of boring. And again, this is just a 9400 CPU with a gigabyte motherboard, and let's get this thing out. Now, just to clarify, for this motherboard is a gigabyte motherboard. It's an H370M, so it's a micro ATX, and the model of it's a DS3H, just in case you're wondering. All right, well, now that we have both the motherboards in front of us, what I'm going to do is, both of these are LGA 1151, and these are swappable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and put it on here. I'm going to worry about the cooling for this at a later date. This would get it by just to install Windows on this old one, but I don't really want to talk about the old one. That's going to confuse you. So we're just going to take this and put it on here, and I do have a terabyte on his, which is the Sabrent 1 terabyte. It's either I'm going to swap them or just give him the one that's on here, which is a 500 gig. He doesn't do a lot of downloads, a lot of gaming, so a 500 gig is almost enough for him. but I'm going to think about it as I'm doing this. So anyway, let's take this off, put it on here. All right, in order to get this old one off, we're going to remove this, this little connector here. And these are like a half turn. I think I can do these by hand, actually. Let's get those turned. I don't do enough of these small ones to really remember. There we go. See, CPU cooler is off now, and we need to clean that. But before I clean that, let's take this one off. We do need, well, first of all, we need to remove this fan. Set that aside, and we do need our screwdriver that is usually oh, not that one. It's usually included when you buy something like this. We're going to do a little bit at a time. Okay. There we go. Set that aside. And now what we're going to do is we're going to need these brackets. So, and we need the standoffs that the brackets are attached to. And we're going to keep that just like that, so I don't have to think about or get out any instructions on how this installs. And then we got these standoffs. This does have a back plate. All these standoffs are the exact same, so this doesn't matter. But it does have a back plate that needs to go on. I'm going to set this board. Shouldn't have had power going through it recently, but we're just going to set this over here. All right, let's take our new board, and now you can see there's two screws here, and there's 2 holes here. And those line up perfectly with that. And we're going to take our thumb screws again, or our standoffs, and get these situated. You can sometimes normally do these in the case. Just depends on your back cutout for the case. But I like prepping these ahead of time. Back that one off. Okay, now we can go ahead and just tighten all these up. Kind of doing a little bit at a time here. These don't have to be critically tight, as in, you know, you're about to break the board, okay? These just have to be fairly snug. And they do have a plastic washer in between the screw and the board. And now we're going to take these and put them right back. Oops. Now the screws are all falling out on me. These are the ones that need to be tight. These ones you can crank down on a pretty good amount, because that's what's going to hold them in place. Oops. And I just got thermal paste on myself. Let me take care of this before I forget. All right, now we're going to take care of this thermal paste and get it all clean. Now, when it has a lot on it, I usually take a paper towel and just wipe it off. And try not to get it on yourself, because the stuff is, it gets everywhere. Once you get it somewhere, you think you got it all off, then all of a sudden it appears somewhere else. Now what I have is some isopropyl alcohol. This is 99%, and some Q-tips, because we do not want to mix the thermopaste. So we're just going to give this a nice clean job here. And you can see how black that is, and we're still getting stuff off. Even though it looked like you get everything with the paper towel, you really don't. Now if you get a little bit of alcohol that drips down the side, don't be scared about that. Alcohol will dry. Just give it enough time and you're gonna be fine. Now what we need to do is clean the thermopaste that's on the cooler. Get that off. Now, this stuff is still very pliable, which is really nice. I built his computer about 2 years ago. It's never had an issue. And I don't mean built it as in bought the parts and built it, but after I used it for 2-3 years. All right, we're gonna do the same exact thing we did to that CPU. We're just gonna clean this off. Any remnants. Do we want to put this on now, or do I want to wait until I get it in the case? I'm thinking I want to wait until I get it in the case, because this case is a little smaller and this cooler's a lot bigger. So I think we're going to hold off on that. All right, let's get the case up here, and I did blow it out beforehand, but we got to remove our old I/O shield and install the new one. This goes with the other motherboard, and this one's just a basic one, and I hate doing these. I don't know, it's just, these suck. These suck, but we'll get it done. And oh, there we go. This is not a how-to, kind of how to build. You're just gonna walk along with me and kind of watch. But we're gonna put this down and in here. Looks pretty good so far. Oh, you know what? I don't have standoffs in the right location. So we have to assess that. So our top three are perfectly fine. This one on the end's fine. That one's fine. Our middle three, it looks like that one's good, that one's good, that one on the end's good, but we are missing. So this one's got to get moved. Let's see which one. Looks like the bottom one. The bottom one. Okay, so I have to move a couple of them. I want to show you something. So if you ever have to do this yourself, this is something I haven't really shown. Get some nice light in there. But we can see right here, it says A equals ATX, M equals micro ATX, and I equals ITX. So what we have here is up here, it'll say AMI, and it's kind of hard to see. Maybe, okay, right here is a better example, AMI. That means ATX, micro ATX, and ITX. So one has to go there. Now this has two of them for micro, or for micro ATX, but we want the bottom one. And this is just standard for ATX. This is also ATX. But this one right here, this is AM for ATX and micro. So I need to pull this one and put it up here. This one can just stay floating there. It's not even going to be in the way. But yeah, so we have one there. I just put that one there. I moved it up from here. And we're going to move this one up to here. Let's try that again. Nothing should get forced here, by the way. All right, so that's it. We got it all set, and now we can start plugging stuff in, especially the power supply. We got to maybe get that installed, and we shouldn't need anything more than what we had before. Okay, power supply is installed. Let's get our EPS for our CPU power in here and up the top so we can get this one plugged in. And I apologize, I'm not really doing any close-ups here because I just want to get this done. Let's get our USB 3.0. Okay, motherboard power. We're gonna come right into the top. I'm trying to get you some sort of a picture, but it's kind of difficult. There's no lighting right here. And motherboard power is installed. And so we can get our audio. Front port audio goes right here. Flip it over. And then we have our front I/O connections, our on-off switch, reset switch. That's all got to get done. Let me flip this way so I can see what I'm doing. All right, let's get our trusty rubber glove on here. And we got some Noctua stuff here. And I'm sorry, but you're not going to see this. But what I'm doing is we're going to apply it to the center. But then I'm going to spread it with my rubber glove. So instead of letting the heat sink spread it, I'm going to spread it myself so I know it's fully covered. All right, so now we're going to take our heat sink and we're going to place it right on there. Get that started. Need our long screwdriver to get the other side started. And now what we want to do is go back and forth about a turn and a half or so each until it's fully seated. And right there, that bottomed out, so I know I should be fairly close with this other side. Yep. Okay. She's about ready to turn on. We do have internal graphics, but we are going to just go ahead and I'll step around here. And we're going to install this graphics card. Oh, we do have another fan. I forgot about this rear fan. And I don't think there's a header right there. All right, let me look. I got to find a header for that. Okay, so now we're ready for this graphics card. And of course, now I've got to take the top one out of this one. It sits a little differently. So let's get this graphics card installed, shall we? There we go. Since this Wi-Fi adapter was with this motherboard, we're going to go ahead and put that in. We're going to see if we can find a spot for this thing right here. All right, I got that graphics card, or the Wi-Fi card, pretty close to the graphics card, but that's okay. I'm not going to put it in the bottom slot. So now the question is do we get picture out, which we should, but what I'm going to do is reinstall Windows. All right, so we're plugged in. I do have this, but I think we're gonna have to get into the BIOS, so I do need a keyboard. And a dongle for this. There we go. We're getting into Windows right there. We could hit the delete. Oh, I hit the delete key on the wrong keyboard. That's okay. We're getting into Windows here, and now we're going to reboot. We're going to launch it from here and get a new, fresh install of Windows. All right, now we're going to start spamming the delete key, even though I really don't have to. BIOS has been reset. Please configure your BIOS setup items if needed. I don't know why it says it's been reset. That's bizarre. Okay. Whatever. We're in the BIOS. I need to go full screen because I can't see anything. And we need to install this into any fast USB port. So I want to reinstall Windows. Basically select the boot priority, boot options priority. All right, so let's do this. Install language, English, next. Keyboard, yes. Install. Next, Windows 11. I don't have product ID, don't care right now. We're gonna go with the Pro Edition. I think that's what was on this. I hope so. Accept. So we have unallocated space. I think it's going to be disk 0 or nope, wait a minute. Nope, it's going to be disk 0. So we're going to delete this partition. Delete that partition. Delete this partition. I don't know why it's taking so long to delete. Doesn't even look like it's deleting anything. Partition 1. Delete. Ah, here we go. Okay. Delete. There we go. Now we have disk 0 unallocated space, because our disk 1 is the USB that we're using right now. Keeping nothing, we're going to install new. This is a little uncommon because I'm reinstalling Windows 11 onto something that had Windows 10 and then upgraded to Windows 11. Okay, so now that it's installed, we can actually, at this point, we can remove this drive. Just letting you know when it gets to that point. And as we continue, we want United States, for me anyway. US keyboard layout. Want a second layout? No, we do not. And now these are a selection of basically, this thing's already seeing Wi-Fi, and I do not have internet. I don't even want to set it up right now. Name is going to be, oops, see, wrong keyboard, wrong mouse. We're going to name it Chase. That's his name. And enter a password. Right now, there's going to be no password. Location, find my device, no. Diagnostic data, no, 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 and accept. Now it's getting things ready, and basically we're just going to be going right into Windows, and that's kind of a wrap in a way for this. Basically, as this thing gets into Windows, what I'm going to be doing is I have to install the drivers for the Wi-Fi adapter. Even though it's seeing it, I still have to get the correct adapters or drivers for it. I got to install Google Chrome. I have to install VLC Player and a couple of other things to get him ready. And then he's going to have to re-download his games that he had on the old system. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, and I just got to put the panels back on and then get it back up to his room, and he won't even hardly know the difference as far as just looking at the PC. He's going to have to log in and then realize that he does not have the same password or anything. His desktop's going to be a little different. So it's just going to be a little learning curve for him, but that's okay. We'll get them all squared away. So anyway, we are in Windows now, as we can see, and that's it. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I just have to do any updates if there is any and get this going. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for any future postings that I do make, and give this thing a thumbs up, please, to support the channel. And until next time, guys, take care.